So it is just after Christmas 2024, it's the new year, and I am anxious and excited and nervous because my very first game, Cropolution, has just dropped on Steam and it needs a lot of bug fixes. And I'm in the weeds, I'm just fixing bug after bug after bug, when out of nowhere I get a message from BlackThornProd. He wants me to compete with 5 other devs for the chance to win $3,000. BlackThornProd is a huge name in the game dev space, and his competition videos get quite a lot of views. And some developers that enter end up with very successful Steam launches. Plus, I mean, potential cash prize for just working for a couple of weeks on something that's new and fresh and exciting. I told him I was in, and the competition began very shortly afterwards. And despite having another main project I was working on, and despite still having more bugs to fix in Cropolution, as it turns out, this pivotal moment turned into one of the best decisions I've ever made as a game developer, lighting a fire under me again and wiping the proverbial sleep from my eyes. In this video, I want to introduce you to the game that made me remember why I love game dev so much in the first place, and we're going to do a deep dive in design. We're going to take some crappy levels and fix them up based on some player feedback that I got. Because my focus right now with this game, it's not a Steam release. It is to make the perfect demo for Steam Next Fest. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Now let's get into it. I don't want to spoil the results of the competition for you, so it's linked down below in the description. I didn't care about the results of the competition though. What I cared about was how other people felt about the game. And at least based on the comments, people really seemed to like it. But when the judges played my game and when future playtesters played my game, there was a big problem. And the problem was not fun. The problem was making levels that were both challenging and fair, that unequivocally taught the players the mechanics, which are a little bit unique, but didn't get too bogged down in the boring details and turning everything into a tutorial. From the very beginning, I knew which mechanic I wanted to hone in on for this game. The awesome mid-air deflection ability from Ori, Bash. But it always felt just a little bit underused to me in the Ori games. So I wanted to build an entire game around an ability like that, but crank it up to 11 with more depth, more risk, and more reward. And just make it the absolute core of the game. And then the theme was announced, and for me, introducing synergy into the platformer game proved to be very challenging, which is where Frank comes in. Your goal isn't for you to survive, you don't even take damage. Frank takes damage. And so the two of you are bound together in the sense that you have to protect him, and you do it using Surge, hence Surgebound. You use Surge, which is the Bash-like ability in my game, to deflect projectiles, kill enemies, and even heal him. Frank has been infected with a virus, and the whole premise is for you to cure him. And since this game has a digital setting, I have been able to let loose my love of shaders and try all kinds of weird experiments to get this game feeling and looking right. I know that I still have a long ways to go, but for early days, I'm pretty happy with how it looks. So in order to properly explain what is not going well for playtesters, I have to first show you how the game works. Because for new players, it's a lot. First, there's the movement. It's very Celeste-y in nature. You can move, dash, jump, double jump, wall slide, wall jump, and air dash. And of course, Surge, which by the way, resets your air dashes and air jumps. That's already a lot. But then Surge adds a whole extra layer of complexity that players have to master. At its base level, you use it as an extra dash, basically. You're gonna gain a big boost of speed, but then you learn you can also ride along with things that move. You can deflect projectiles back at enemies. And even though it does this whole homing missile thing, if you don't angle it right, it can just end up going in circles till eventually it dies. So your angle and your timing are important. Then you learn you don't just surge off projectiles and special objects, you can also surge off enemies too, which damages them. And of course we have Frank in the game, so I thought it would be cool if you had something really awesome happen if you surged off of him. So you get these missiles that shoot out and kill enemies. Then you'll notice that whenever Frank takes damage, he drops this orb. Well, you can surge off that too. And if you manage to shoot it towards an enemy, it becomes like a bomb, which detonates as soon as you surge again. But that's still not all, because if you do the same thing, but you do it to Frank, it'll heal him. You're gonna learn that there are projectiles that take more than one surge to deflect back towards an enemy. And you're gonna learn that you can deflect more than one projectile at a time. And you learn that you can charge your surge as well, which makes you go faster and further. Your deflections do more damage, and you damage enemies just by touching them. Frank will unleash extra missiles. And the orb explosion is going to do more damage, or it's going to heal Frank more. So this is a lot of core mechanics for players to grapple with right out of the gate. I got feedback from maybe 10 different playtesters. I watched them play, I saw where they got confused or stuck, and I realized my mechanics are not the problem. The mechanics are fun. It was how I was teaching those mechanics that was the problem. Let me show you what I mean. Here is level 1. Yep, that's literally it. I also forgot to mention you can fast forward, which is what you learn in the next level. This is just for speeding up time if you get stuck waiting for Frank so that things don't get boring to the player. Then, the next level, our first enemy, where you finally learn that Frank is the one who takes damage, not you. But all you gotta do is head over here and lift the gate up to let him out. This is hardly a challenge. So for these early levels, I honestly think I'm just not giving players enough credit. Yes, these things do need to be taught, but I don't think they need to happen one at a time. The very first level is the player's first impression. So I changed it. You learn about opening gates for each other, and instead of forcing the players to do a 2x speed, I simply tell them they can here, which they do have time to read while they wait for Frank to get to the gate, which is now where you're going to learn that he takes damage. You're going to go down here to let him out, and then the sign changes to tell you how to do a 4x speed up. So we just combined the first 3 levels into one. It's still small and it's still not very flashy, but it is more interesting. So let's look at the next problem level. This one was really all about getting players comfortable with the movement. And Frank, he's not even really a part of the level. In fact, he just escapes instantly. So originally there's no rush. You can take all the time you need, which doesn't really force players to get good with the controls. Now, the cool thing is, because of Frank, I have a very easy and very fun way of giving players a timer for a level. Throw an enemy in there and make it shoot Frank over and over. There you go. The health bar is your timer. Now there's an element of speed involved, and I can get to the end with lots of time left over, but for new players, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Now, most of the next level was actually pretty good, I think. But for this little portion down here, if you didn't discover it in the last level, you will find out that if you touch it, it's just going to warp you back. So the only way through it is to ride the surge hook, which is what I'm calling this thing until I think of a better name for it. The next level was also decent. Not only are you told that surging resets air jumps and dashes, but you also have to do that in order to get up here. Then just for fun, I added another little ride section at the top here. In this level, you learn to surge blast off of Frank, and the only addition I had to make to this level was to also teach players to charge off of him to kill all 5 enemies at once at the end. This level was lame. Just these 2 guys, and that was it. The whole teaching moment of this level was, hey, you've got enemies, you don't have to surge off projectiles, you can surge off of them directly to damage them. But there was no real challenge to it, so I made it challenging. But let me get to the heart of the problem. This little level right here was where most of my playtesters either got stuck or quit, and it was 100% my fault. The idea is to surge the orb back towards the enemy, and then surge again to make it explode. And while some playtesters eventually got it, others never did. I originally had a wall of text here explaining what to do, but I learned that players do not like to read. So instead, I added a video. But also, the enemy doesn't spawn until you step on this button, so there's no pressure when you first start the level. Watch the video a couple of times until you get it. But even still, some people seemed to completely ignore the video and just go right for the button. So I added this other button over here, which is going to draw their attention to it, which explains the whole mechanic in way better detail. This UI screen is actually where I got the idea to add this red pulse to the orb, which also I think makes it more clear as to what's going on. Okay, you've just armed the bomb. Now, when you surge, it's going to explode. Now, to teach players that the surge explosion will heal Frank, originally I just threw them to the wolves with this level and was basically like, figure it out. Some rage quits happened here. And again, that's on me. Figuring out how to teach mechanics well is more difficult than I realized. The first problem was the enemy just kept on shooting. So even if the exit gate was opening and Frank got hit, you'd still have to restart, which was really really frustrating for people. This felt pretty unfair, but it was also too much too fast. So first, I added a level that taught them what to do in a much safer environment with an enemy that did less damage. Each time you heal Frank, one of these green gates is open, and you need to do it 3 times in order to move on. Now, the problem with this level is that it was lame and boring and stupid. All it did was teach you how to deflect missiles, which is fair because the boss in the very next level also shoots missiles, but I figured it should at least be a little more challenging than just throwing one enemy in there. It also gives players more time to practice before they have to fight the boss, so I added a few more enemies into this level. And then finally, we reach the boss where you put everything that you've learned together. Now again, my goal is to drop a demo on Steam, but it needs to be the perfect demo. I can see and feel the potential with this game when I play it, and I need the demo to make players feel that way as well. So I'm not rushing this. I have no deadline, I have no due date. If I happen to make it before the next Steam Next Fest, which I think happens in October, cool. If I don't, I'm not going to sweat it. I'm just going to keep working on it until it's ready. The game is already up on Steam. If you want to wishlist it, that would be amazing. But in the meantime, I will be dropping the occasional devlog on the channel to show how progress is going. And as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care. Bye.